The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Pit Life BBQ podcast. Join us around the pit as we talk all things barbecue. Now here is your host, Johnny Maggs.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Pit Life BBQ podcast. I'm Johnny Maggs, coming at you live from beautiful Salem, New Hampshire at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. Hi, Chrissy.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. Let me just try sharing the show out here.
Hi, Claudia.
Oh, Mrs. Maggs is already in there. You're the girl. So, where the hell? There it is. Bing, bing, bang. Yeah, she's a little laid up right now.
I did hear.
20 stitches. Yeah, she's doing a little rough.
A little bit of an accident there.
That's it. But everything, hey, 20 stitches, we came out good. Could have been a hell of a lot worse.
It could have.
But, you know. But so excited about today, so let's get right down to it, Chrissy.
All right.
Today's episode is brought to you by Uncle Steve's Shake. Have you ever wondered why your neighbor has a line coming out of his backyard and when he's barbecuing, but when you're barbecuing, not so much?
We said we were going to flip that. Everyone's coming to my house. No one's going to my neighbor because I'm using Uncle Steve's Shake.
And they're not. Uncle Steve's Shake, Uncle Steve uses some of the finest, freshest ingredients that on the market today to make all his 12 seasonings, including his competition line. Incredible seasons. Its customer service is beyond reproach. If you have any shake questions or needs, you call that little number and you will get Uncle Steve.
Oh, yeah, you will.
He is CEO, president, vice president, HR, the whole nine. So check out UncleStevesShake.com and the Facebook group, Uncle Steve's Shake Nation, for exclusive giveaways and promos on always. So as always, get yourself some Uncle Steve's Shake. Shake some on everything.
And we mean everything. I can't even come up with the words of how many different things you can put their shakes on. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah. And you got the dessert shake. Don't forget that.
I know.
But today also brought to you by Two Guys Smoke Shop and TwoGuysCigars.com. Whether I'm barbecuing or not, I always keep the smoke rolling thanks to our friends at TwoGuysCigars.com. Today we are smoking the extremely limited edition Bandolero Firecracker. Only 500 boxes made. And they'll be still available. They will not last till morning. So pull your trigger on these. But thanks to our friends at TwoGuysCigars.com, I get to smoke some of the best cigars in the world, and so can you. Just visit TwoGuysCigars.com for your perfect barbecue companion. That's the number 2GuysCigars.com. Also brought to you by Backline Fabrication and Backline Smokers. Ryan Newland is building some of the wildest pits coming out of Austin, Texas today.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan is an absolute magician, artist, whatever you want to call. If you order a pit, you have a conversation with him, and he'll ask you an array of questions. And when he's done with this pit, you'll have things on there that you would never even have thought of that he just gets out of your conversations through the whole building process. The, 250 gallons, 500,000s, his multi-tool grill is wild, little kettle grill type / flat top / Santa Maria / whatever you else want to call it. Bottom line, if you can think it, he can build it. Check him out at Backline Fab on Instagram and Facebook. Check out all his creations right there. Also brought to you by MagnaChef gloves. Our brother Alan Fonte knows a little something about fire management, seeing he's a Miami-Dade firefighter. Yeah. He has designed these with all the heat protection at the forefront. Mm-hmm. These are made out of food-grade silicone, patented magnetic clips for an easy on and off. You'll never drop your gloves. Oh, there it is in the dirt. Nope. Not with these. Don't go nowhere. And like I said, right back on. Heat rated up to 500 degrees. Web fit for a firm grip. One size fits all. Dishwasher safe, but more importantly, made right here in the USA.
It's a beautiful thing.
Check them out at magnachef.com. And at checkout, use the code ROYAL21. That's ROYAL21 for 15% off your order. Get a couple pairs, one for the barbecue trailer, one for the backyard, one for the kitchen. You won't be disappointed.
Heck no. MagnaChef with an E, M-A-G-N-E.
Chef.com. MagnaChef, master the fire. And certainly not last, but CustomCuttingBoardsRS.com. Ian Hemming out of Magnolia, Texas, is building what I can call the Yeti of cutting boards. Mm-hmm. These cutting boards take an absolute beating. I've been using mine for over 4 years now, and they're still in pristine shape. Yep. 100% dishwasher safe, high condensed UV protection, comfort sliding protections, the rubber nubs. Yep. So even on a wet surface, that board will not slip on you. Multicolors available in the deep lip reservoir to catch all the jus and those beautiful juices coming from whatever protein you're cooking. Check them out today at CustomCuttingBoardsRS.com. That is the letter R, us.com.
I mean, there it is.
So let's see. Mrs. Mags is there. C. Mac, what's up? Kent Max, what's happening? Darren. Mike Tortorella, what's happening, brother? Charlie White. Doug. Gray Rhino, what's happening, boys? And there's C. Mac with his 7,000 degrees.
I didn't mention it this time. We're all used to it right now.
But, well, folks, we have a hell of an episode for you today. Yes. Let's get right down to it. We are joined by the godfather of barbecue talk, the OG himself. You know him from the Barbecue Central show, hailing out of Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Greg Rempe.
Hey, Johnny.
Greg, what's happening, my man?
I am humbled and excited to be here. Can't wait to lie to you for at least the better part of an hour.
Sounds good to me. So let's just get right into the stories and the lies.
All right.
First and foremost, for anybody who might not know you, at least in the barbecue world, who is Greg Rempe?
Peterbilt sales guy by day, major accounts through the biggest Peterbilt dealer in Ohio. Of course, we're like one of two, so it's almost like biggest by proxy, but we're doing our thing there. And then Tuesday nights from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, I do the Barbecue Central show live, and that's also being recorded at the same time. That goes out in the podcast after the fact. I would assume it's similar to you, the vast majority, and when I say vast majority, I mean 99.3% of my listenership is at convenience. So they're getting the audio download and listen that way. But I do the live show because it keeps the show going. Otherwise, it would have died many, many, many years ago.
Oh, absolutely. You always have that for the tune in. And, you know, the live I like because it's very, there's no frill about it. No. If you mess up, you mess up. Yeah, that's all you can do. Yeah. There's no editing. And, you know, you could go back if you really wanted to. But, you know, I think that adds what the hell's the word I'm looking for?
It's real. It's that
the originality to it.
Right. Like it's not scripted. It's not.
Yeah. So the Barbecue Central show, and like I said, I personally thank you because, much like a lot of the barbecue guys, Dr. Barbecue, Ray Lampe, and so on, paved the way for what we know as competition barbecue today. Mm-hmm. You've done that in what a lot of us now are doing in barbecue talk, barbecue podcast, barbecue shows.
Yeah.
And you were really one of, if not the first, to go into this platform. There were the chat groups on the internet. I think there was 2 of them at the time. Now we're going back to mid 2000s.
Oh wow.
Of when this. So I'm going to throw a date out at you, and we'll run from there.
Okay.
February 7th, 2008. Does that ring a bell?
First live show ever.
Over 14 years
Congratulations.
of doing this.
A fun fact, 2 years before that, I was doing the show as strictly a podcast.
Oh.
Okay.
Yep.
So and podcasts really weren't a thing at all, really.
There was only other one. There was only other one Am I saying that right? There was only one other person that I knew that was doing a barbecue podcast, and that was my inspiration for doing mine, which was Ray Basso from the Barbecue Forum.
Yeah.
Who just recently passed away. And, much to the point you were talking about those chat groups in the mid 2000s, I originally had a barbecue forum, and the whole podcast was born out of listening to Ray's for his barbecue forum and going, wow, that guy's really bad. I can definitely do something better than that. And so I picked it up, and it was just based around my forum and my members, and let's get to know you, and what kind of cookers do you have? And that was it. It was very in a vacuum. And then after there was a small onslaught of barbecue podcasts back then, I wanted to branch out and separate from the pack again, because I had introduced the podcast in the first place to separate out from the onslaught of barbecue forums. If you can believe that was a hot technology of the day back in the very early 2000s. So to re-separate, I wanted to go live, and hence the date, February 7th, 2008. Linked up with a guy on Craigslist who was starting an online radio station out of LA. He said, if we can figure out the technology, we'll do it once a week. I had to sell him a little bit that I could actually come up with something once a week. And I said, I've been doing it for 2 years, once a week already, so I think we're going to be okay. We figured out the technology, and that's where we started.
Yeah, because that was wild back then. Because it was strictly, like you said, it was online radio. But like this stuff we have now and you're using, there wasn't. There was none of this. We started because Dave had opened the studio.
Yeah.
But, we jumped in right when Facebook Live became a thing. So just like we're doing now, we're broadcasting on Facebook Live.
Yeah.
We kind of circumvented their little scheme thing they had going on cutting the podcasts out, But how we did that, I still don't know. But we're not going to try to figure it out so they slap me on the wrist. Yeah. Or we take it as it comes. But, Greg, in those early days, did you get any type of pushback or, what the hell you doing talking barbecue? And, because when we had started originally, we kind of got that of what the hell do a bunch of guys from New England, from New Hampshire and Massachusetts know a thing about barbecue? Now you being Midwest Cleveland, Ohio, you have a little bit more of that barbecue influence there, by, guys in the area, Mike Mills from Apple City and, one of the greatest of all time, rest in peace. Did you get any kickback on the topic?
The only kickback I got was, can you do it longer than 2 weeks or 3 weeks? And even to this day, it's always, oh, do you cook?
Yeah.
I think it's a Food Network show, but online, or that I'm like the Pit Boys or Sam or whoever. And I say, hey, the elevator pitch to the Barbecue Central show is I am the ESPN of the barbecue and grilling industry. So much like ESPN covers the world of sports, I cover the industry of live fire. So I will have folks on that cook or have been on television or write books or build pits or accessories, anything that has to do with it, and a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with the industry at all, but just to get outside the box and expand horizons, make introductions, promote stuff that I'm into. That's what the show's about.
Oh, yeah.
No. So, I got, are you going to cook? No. Can you do it for longer than 3 weeks? Because you're going to talk about steak and hot dogs and hamburgers and what else is there to cook after that. So, I mean, that was it. But remember, this is a long time ago. This is 2006 when I had first started. So there was no bar. I didn't have to be better than anybody. There was nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody knew I sucked because there was nothing to compare it to. So I got away with a bunch of stuff, or I got away with sucking longer than anybody gets away with sucking now, unless you just don't care, because there was just nobody else to run how bad or how good I was against. It was really just me for a long time. And it was my want to sound good. And when I was doing interviews with people that I knew were better than me and that sounded better than me, for me to latch onto them and say, hey, let me pick your brain. Why do you sound better? Why do you sound like this? Or how do you sound like this? And what equipment are you using? And editing, and how do you deliver words like that? And all that stuff. I just had an insatiable interest of trying to continue to get better, still to this day. But that's why I think the show got off the ground and continued in the very beginnings.
Oh, yeah. Because I've been listening for many years now. And it's constant entertaining. There's never a dull moment going on in anything you do. I like how you break it up. It's a 2-hour show first and foremost. So, anybody who doesn't or has never been on a podcast or anything, an hour is tough enough to do. Never mind 2 hours every week.
For 14, 16, if you include the other 2 years.
Yeah, for years. But, you break each hour into 2 segments. So in theory, you have, quote unquote, 4 guests or at least 4 topics. 2 the first hour, 2 the second hour, whether there's a guest, going to banter back and forth with you or not, which is very interesting because it keeps that attention. The one when coming up and doing all the research when starting this, the average attention span is a ride to work. So that 20, 23-minute range is that sweet spot, which you hit with breaking the segments up. But how did you come up with the idea of the embedded correspondence? Because that's great, because you have the set guys, Sam would be the first Tuesday of the month, or more so, Malcolm has been with you the first Tuesday, Meathead the second Tuesday, and so on, Sam the cooking guy, and so on and so forth, Doug Scheiding.
So I guess there's 2 answers to that. There's the stable of regular guests. So first Tuesday, as you had mentioned, Malcolm first hour, Sam the cooking guy second hour. Second Tuesday, Meathead and now Robert Moss both take up the first hour. The third Tuesday is this guy who'll be on a little bit later, Stephen Reichland.
Well, Stephen,
we all know him. And so he's third Tuesday. And then in the second hour, I've started doing quarterly guests. So depending on where we are within that quarter, you're either going to get a visit from Jess Pryles or Susie Bullock from Hey Grill Hey or Daniel Vaughn. Daniel Vaughn will be on tonight in the second hour. And that was the most recent break of trying to get some semi-regular guests. And then the fourth Tuesday, we got Derek Riches in the second segment in the first hour. And then the whole second hour of the last Tuesday is the embedded correspondence. the embedded correspondence was, I'm a big talk radio guy. So when I would listen to one of the local guys here in Cleveland, the Alan Cox show, he had what he called bureau chiefs. So if you listened originally before the internet became very prevalent and you could listen to the show wherever you were in the country, he had, this guy was a bureau chief in Lakewood, which is the western suburb of Cleveland. And this guy was a bureau chief in Willoughby, which is the city I'm from, east side of Cleveland. And then once it started to grow out, you could listen wherever you want. Now all of a sudden he had bureau chiefs in Denver and San Diego and New Hampshire and, all these other places. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. He's incorporating his listeners. And so I wanted to figure out some way to do something similar or have a similar name. And originally, I think it started as like Around the Pit or around this, I don't know what the hell it was even called, but it was set up to do, I was going to introduce the segment and then it was going to be a minute to a minute and a half and everybody had to call in ahead of the segment. And I was like, okay, we're going around maybe it was called the Around the Barbecue Globe. And we go to Chandler, Oklahoma and Dave Bosco, Butcher Barbecue. And then he had something that he was going to give an update on or ran about and then hit a sound effect and then go, now we race up to Nashua, New Hampshire, and we go to Johnny Mag's and then you would do your thing and then we would race out to somewhere else. So that was the original concept. And I didn't really, it was okay, but some people weren't able to commit to doing it once a month. And so it kind of died off a little bit. And then the embedded correspondence just, was born out of that. So John Solberg in Michigan is an embedded correspondent. Doug Scheiding, obviously, he's the longest running embedded correspondent out of Texas. And now Rusty Monson who also hosts the Pit Masters podcast. He's out of Utah. He's my newest one. But there's been a small slew of other ones in between the last one and where Rusty started. And I think what we have now, especially with the ECs, is a great group of diverse individuals who get the show and are fans of the show, who understand where entertainment and fact and opinion all matter and how they meld together, can bring it across great. And we have a working agreement that if we don't agree, we're saying it.
Yeah.
You're wrong. This is why you're wrong, or this is why I feel I'm right. And we can banter back and forth, but nobody's got their ass hurt at the end of the day. We're all in a tight group chat. We chat every day. We're passing along ideas all the time for the next segment. Everybody's vested and interested in making that segment better the next time and the next time. And that's why specifically the embedded correspondent has become a really successful segment, because it's not just listening to me. You get to actually listen to Doug, who's won world titles, and John, who's a very accomplished writer and product tester and backyard cook himself. And then you have Rusty, a little bit younger than all of us, brings a fresh new perspective and is a competition cook who's just coming up, rising in the ranks, doing very well, just notched a second grand championship over the weekend. So it's a great meld of different ideas, and we just get it. So, and they're there like every effing time without fail. I don't think I've ever had anybody not show up, and I can't ask for anything more than that. I mean, I don't pay these guys, and yet they're there every month to do it. So it's great.
Well, there was it maybe about 2 months ago, there was that Tuesday that Meathead fell asleep, which allowed me to make my first appearance on the Barbecue Central show.
See what happens when people fall asleep at the wheel?
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Let's see here. Who we got? Big Rome, what's happening? Gary, Eric Spencer, what's going on, my man? Crawd Daddy. Oh, Guy Chisholm. Guy messaged me after when I promoted the show yesterday. He goes, really? That might be a little too much, Greg, in one day.
I wasn't going to say it, but this is when you do it, so who am I to say that?
Brother Randy, what's happening? Oh, there he is, CJ, Mr. Clarence Joseph himself. What's happening, brother? And then Kent Vander Weerd is asking, oh, fine, I'll ask the question. Kent's always got to stick gives his little dab. because I know he would say it on your show and ask you all the time. Kent Vanderweerd from Daddy Dutch Barbecue wants to know, what color chrome do you use?
This is real life, baby. I don't mess with it. This is what my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ gave me.
That's it. Perfect. Perfect. But yeah, it's wonderful. And like you were saying, with the disagreements, you actually had it. Was it last week? Yeah, last week with Sam, and it was a great. It was enthralling.
The Pittsburgh steak.
The Pittsburgh steak disagreement.
Everybody knows. Yeah.
But like you said, it was the disagreement between you and him, and you're shooting back and forth, and it's all in fun. You're making the points and the digs, and it was, it was enthralling. You were just hanging on every word, see what was coming next. And that's the beautiful part about that. That you're free to disagree, and in the end, it's all water under bridge. You still barbecue brothers, friends, however you want to refer to it as. And that was the case in point.
I would rather have some kind. I mean, as a host, tension is great. Everybody's going to talk about it. Did you see it? Did you hear it? Whatever. But as long as it's organic, then that's what I want. I don't want a guest to decide they want to clam up. Case in point, many, many, many years ago, the pitmaster Yazoo's Delta Q, Melissa Cookston, Barbecue Hall of Famer. First time on the show, we were going through, I thought we were having a swimming conversation, was asking her a lot about differences between Memphis Barbecue Network that it wasn't like hugely popular, but it was in that particular region of the country. They were very successful. They were MBN Team of the Year for a number of years in a row. Had won Memphis in May, of course, I think 3 out of 4 years or 4 out of 5 years, whatever it was. And the interview ends, and overnight I get an email, and she's like, that was kind of unprofessional, and I don't like the way you went at me on this or went at me on that, and, blah, blah, blah. And I wrote her back, and I said, geez, where was any of this while we were on the air? Like, if you don't think I'm giving you a fair shake or you think I'm coming at you sideways, I am telling you as a host, there's no disrespect. You say, hey, I'm perceiving your line of questioning to be like this, or I'm taking what you're saying this way. Am I right? Challenge me. Let's go ahead and get at it. And then we can either continue to debate at odds, or we'll quickly clear up any misconceptions and go from there. And I said, I would much prefer, if you come back on again in the future, that if you have a problem with my line of questioning, you take me to task right there.
Yeah.
It's happening. It's better for the show, and it's just better, period. And, of course, we became really good friends after that, and there were never any issues. And in fact, she demanded that she be on the show the Tuesday before Memphis in May as she strung 3 together, because she thought that was part of the whole mix. Very superstitious. The Barbecue Central Show Mojo is what she called it.
Yeah.
And, we did that a 3-year run for her. So, that's what I prefer.
Perfect. Now, speaking of, Melissa Cookston and the Barbecue Hall of Fame, how did you start your relationship with the American Royal and the Barbecue Hall of Fame? As far as I know, you had a couple weeks back, you had Emily Park on, who is a wonderful person. I had her on last year, a little bit before the Royal, and she was absolutely tremendous.
She's great.
How did you get the relationship with that, and the honor of having the shows of announcing, the finalists and then the soon-to-be inductees?
Honestly, I think it was because I wouldn't stop pounding on them unmercifully for years. It was the history of the Barbecue Hall of Fame is weird. So that guy I mentioned before, Ray Basso, him and Mike, I forget what his last name is, Hog Eyes Barbecue was his online store back in the day. Ray and Mike put the Barbecue Hall of Fame together originally. They were the original founders. It was online. It was just kind of a stagnant online presence. They would induct people. And then years after that, Sterling Ball thought it would be a good idea to bring it to the American Royal. At that time, the Royal was being done at Kemper Arena. There was talk about maybe having a real place for people to go and visit the Barbecue Hall of Fame. That obviously never came to fruition. And then we, of course, know about all the location changes over the handful of years after that. But Sterling was really instrumental in getting that. Now, I don't know how much he would, I'm not speaking out of school either, but he basically pitched it as like Rod Gray had a lot of cachet at the time, was doing really well on the circuit. I don't know if you're familiar with that name.
Pellet Envy. Yeah.
But said, hey, pitch this, the people, but it was Sterling's idea. The Black Apron, the whole situation was Sterling's pitch, and the Guy Fieri thing. Originally, that was the whole part of getting media to come in. He had also promised that he was going to come back that second year and do the inductees for the second year. So there's a lot of work behind the scenes that Sterling doesn't get credit for, that he should get credit for. And so it transitioned off online to now being controlled by the American Royal. They were putting people in. At the time, it was celebrity / humanitarian. It was pitmaster, and then it was business person.
Mm-hmm.
How was this even happen?
Yeah.
How are the names getting decided on? Who's deciding on it? Is it a group of people? What are the criteria? Who knows? So I just sat there and beat. Plus, it was the general public getting to nominate who they wanted. So I just pound and pound and pound. I was calling. I think the reason I get lumped into he wants to be in the Barbecue Hall of Fame is because, like, for 5 years, for 6 months out of the year, I would go, vote, nominate me. We're going to show them that when you leave it up to us to put people into the Barbecue Hall of Fame, you're going to get some shithead like me that's going to be up on stage with Myron Mixon and Mike Mills and Don McLemore and Chris Lilly. I'm just trying to expose a huge flaw and point out nobody has any fucking idea how any of this is being done in the first place. So after a relentless pounding for a long enough period of time, I got an email from Emily Park, and she said, hey, I'm Emily Park. I'm the person that does this at the American Royal. I'm also in charge of the Barbecue Hall of Fame. And she just threw open the curtain and gave a whole long dirty look at what was going on behind there and said, this is our process. This is how the names committee. This is why we do it like this. And she took all the mystery out of it. And then she said, I would like it if maybe we couldn't partner when the names are going to get introduced for those inductees that year, that we could just do it live on your show. And we did that for like 2 or 3 years. And then maybe we did it for 2 years. And then the third year, she said, let's add the 9 finalists 2 weeks in advance. And then we'll come back 2 weeks later and announce who actually makes it into the class that year. So we added that on. And I think she said this was our 4th or 5th year of doing it. I guess she likes the show enough or thinks enough of the show that, A, it's a live thing. So it's not like there's a huge amount of coordination. We're going to do it, and then they're just going to release it after the fact. It can be done very quickly. And my hope is that the show has been seen as a place for you to go to announce breaking news, whatever it's going to look like as it relates to the industry, and there's enough respect that people are going to take it for what it is.
Yeah, fantastic. Because, like you said, we did an episode either 2 or 3 years ago. It was just before the induction, and we were talking about that there is such thing as a Barbecue Hall of Fame. Yeah. And I had gone through some of the people who are in there, and like you were saying, there's some questions there. The first person that got my attention was Henry Ford.
Yeah.
The Henry Ford Motor Cars, is in the Barbecue Hall of Fame. Well, how the hell did that happen? And then you go back and you do the research. And he hated waste, and he had all the wood that was left over from the Model Ts and everything, the packaging, turned it into charcoal. And his cousin was in business with a guy by the name of Kingsford.
Yep. And
Kingsford Charcoal, and it's old, so there was his, but it was people you'd never even thought of. But, like you were saying, Dr. Barbecue, Melissa Cookston, Myron Mixon, these people who are, the top of the food chain when it comes to the barbecue world. You know, in everyone's living rooms, week in, week out on the runbacks of BBQ Pitmasters, Smoked, BBQ Pitmasters All-Stars. You know, they're household names now that they would never be. What do you mean that there's a competition barbecue circuit? Are you serious? Yes. And everyone scratches their head, and then it got put into their living room. And everybody, you know, followed it. That's how I got my start barbecuing, was watching that shows and going, you know, the famous last words, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I did, and the first stuff was shit. And then, you know, just kept on going. But it pulled me in. And you actually just had John on last week, who is being inducted this year, who is the creative founder of BBQ Pitmasters, which was an incredible, you know, well over an hour interview with him. You know, that was awesome. But it's, you know, it's just how seeing where barbecue has started to what it is. Now, what do you think has caused that, from, in your opinion, from how barbecue was to where it is now, you know, between obviously TV, social media, technology, from, you know, stick burners to pellet grills, you know, opens the door for so many people. What's your opinion on where barbecue has come?
I think it's all that. When I got into it, there was the beginnings of the internet. There wasn't really YouTube. There was the message boards. So for me to get better at something, I had to go to a message forum and say, I'm suffering with my ribs, or my pork butt didn't turn out. Here's my method. Here's the cooker. Here's how I'm running. And then hope somebody would reply back to it. And then over the years, you have the advancement of the internet. You have now the proliferation of YouTube and how much of a search engine of video that is. When I want to fix something in the house, or I want to get a review on something, that's right where I go. I go there, I write in review of this, or how do I make this? How do I fix that? And it's all there. And then, by the way, there's like 7,000 options on how to fix, cook, or review the same thing. So I'm getting a wide array of thoughts and opinions. It's great. So with the advancement of that, that's number one. Then you have John Marcus's contribution. I say all the time that he inspired a generation of people to get into barbecue. He did raise the level of interest in competition barbecue specifically, but people also just saw it. Maybe they weren't inspired to go compete, but they thought, well, that's a way of cooking I never really thought about. I could do that in the backyard. So it wasn't just competition. It was just a generation of people that decided barbecue was for them, and he made it approachable and something that people could just do every day. And then there's just the evolution of everything else, the technology on phones, the option to not have to learn how to manage a fire in order to still make really good barbecue, which if you've ever heard me be a guest on anywhere else, I don't knock cookers. I don't knock fuel. I'm a big fan of eat what you like. You know, if it tastes good to you, good. That's right for you. If that works for you and you like it, good. Use that. But when I got into it, you had to know how to start a fire. If you were going to run a stick burner, you had to know how to get it going. You had to know how to maintain it all the way through the cook. If you were going to use charcoal cooker, you had to know how to do the minion method in order to really utilize the abilities of that cooker and not try to bat the high temps down, but bring it up and then get it set in that wheelhouse that you're looking for, depending on what temperature you're cooking at. And with the advancement of pellet cookers and fans and all that stuff, it's taken the need to have to do that away. So if you want to do it, which I always recommend people learn how to do, learn how to do that fire management, because then you can go anywhere and cook on anything and always be the champion.
Yeah.
If you're only learning on power-driven stuff or pellet cookers, fire management is going to be a little foreign to you if everybody says, oh, yeah, well, Johnny's the pit master guy of the group here, and you got a Lang to cook in front of. Well, I mean, you're kind of fucked. So, but pellet cookers and these other fans and the things that people are most worried about in the cook, taking that out of the equation has only helped to expand the backyard. Now, competition has trailed, in my opinion, but the popularity in the backyard continues to rise. Demand was through the roof, obviously through the pandemic, because people weren't going anywhere and they wanted to start learning how to barbecue. That was another big peak of the whole industry getting a bump because of that, of course, and that's starting to flatten out now. But it's wild to see, just in the, from when I started in 2006 to where we are 16 years later, what wasn't available then and what's available now, and all the things that have happened in between.
Oh yeah, with the technology, as far as pellet grills, I've never cooked on a pellet grill. I will be soon. I actually won a subscriber giveaway of my friend Rick Galindo, Rick's Barbecue and Specialties. He was giving away a Green Mountain Grill Trek.
Perfect.
And I won that last night, so I'll be getting that in. And he does a lot of work with them. He works at a barbecue shop out of San Antonio, and does is in with a lot of the companies. But with social media these days now, it has gone from started with Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
You had brought up a very great topic, and we had talked about briefly in our emails, and I came right out and told you I was guilty. I'm guilty of it. Knowing your value, you're a high proponent of that. Now, knowing your value in what we do, what is the definition of that?
To me, for whatever reason within this industry on social, if you can build some kind of following, however you get there organically, if you buy it, I don't know. If you know how to game the system, I'm not very adept at gaming any system, so I wasn't lucky enough to do that. Companies, and so I'm not talking about the guy that maybe made a cool video and a company reaches out and says, hey, we dug the steak video, we want to give you a steak rub or a grill or whatever. But for the folks that have amassed the following and they're just on the take for everything, free rub, the free grills. To me, if you have a proven product, if you have an audience, if you are an influencer, if you can influence somebody right now to go to a website and buy a rub or remember the rub, maybe they don't need it right now, but they'll remember what you're talking about because they're fans of yours or that grill or whatever it is. Why aren't you telling the company, yes, not only will I take the rub or the grill or whatever it is you want to give me for free, that's your product. You've already accounted for that. You've already, in budgeting, decided you're going to give away X amount over the course of the year anyway. It's not free money, but it's free money you've already accounted for. If you have the audience, money, you want to be a professional, you get paid. You have time that you're going to invest. People are going to value your opinion. People might buy off of your opinion or suggestion. You should be paid. And the fact that a huge percentage of people on social media, who, by the way, I have no idea if they can cook or not. I have no idea what their palate's like. I have no idea what they do. I don't know them. People know me. You've watched me for 16 years. You could email me. You can call me. I'm the same guy that you see on the show, a little gimmicked up for entertainment value and for listenability. But my opinion on the show isn't different than my opinion off air. Get paid.
Yeah.
If you had a YouTube following of 2 million people and Traeger came to you or whoever, Weber, whatever, we want you to have this grill, shoot a video for us and we'll give you this, $10,000 grill or $5,000 grill or whatever. Now, remember, that's a retail number. That's not their cost, number one. So you take that, you do the whole walk around, the unbox, whatever the fuck it's called, and you generate millions of views or hundreds of thousands of views. Well, shouldn't you get the grill and like 10 grand for that or 15 grand for that or whatever you can negotiate? Like, you should be getting paid. There's a lot of people that are afraid of asking for money. No apprehension about taking something free that somebody's saying they'll give you, but going, instead of putting the hurdle up and saying, hey, I'll take that, but you're also going to give me $5 grand or $6 grand or $8 grand, whatever it is. So my mission is to make sure that the people in the highest points realize that they should be commanding money. Like, get paid, be a professional, and know your value. Maybe you buy all into that and it's just uncomfortable for you to talk about. Get in touch with me if you're one of those people that just says, hey, I want to ask for money, but man, that's really uncomfortable. I ask for people's money all day long being a sales guy. So I'm real comfortable with that. So I can coach you on that. I can give you things to say. I can work through closing processes, all that. Pardon me. I can work through all that stuff. But it has become so expected of all the other big companies out there that they can go through, find a following, and go, we'll give you something for free, and know 90% of the time that somebody, even 80% of the time, somebody's just going to take it. And that's where the bar has been set. Most barbecue people will do shit for free. Yeah, well, fuck that. How about we change that to where the barbecue people are getting paid as a group? It's not just for me. It's for you, Johnny. It's for the next guy. It's or gal or whoever. Like, know your value. Don't be afraid. People want to do business with people that are professionals. You know what the definition of a professional is? You're getting paid to do something.
Yep.
So please, don't be afraid to ask for money. Know your value. And if you need help, email me or call me. I will help you.
Perfect. Like I said in the email, I was guilty of it before. Even now and then, I'm still guilty of it. If there's a particular product I like, I'll talk about it.
Yes.
I'm going to try it first. If I don't like it, I'll let you know, privately. Hey, this might need, I found it a little overbearing salt-wise, pepper-wise on a rub, or sauce, vinegary side, But, with my sponsors on the show, I've used them for years, depending on when they came, and I believe in these products, and I can't to have a platform I'm on to just take a half-assed product. I can't do it. It's doing a disservice to me. It's doing a disservice to the manufacturer, because that they could take my creative criticism, change the profile a little bit, and next thing you know, it's at a whole nother level of what it was. So it's a constant circle of helping each other out. You might not like it, might get a little butthurt on the end of it, but I'm going to give you the truth on it. And that's what some of the guys of my sponsors said. What do you think of this? And what do you think? I'm looking at, I'll use Uncle Steve for an example. I'm looking at a poultry line, and he asked numerous people and sent a couple different variations, and we all got together, gave our input, and he came up with the final lines. And they're proven, they're winning on the circuits. But it's that back and forth of, like you said, knowing what your value is, not just pushing something that just to push.
Yeah. Don't be happy just getting something for free. If you have the ability to really influence, and those terms get thrown around. A lot of people don't understand what one is versus the other, what an ambassador is, what's an influencer, blah, blah, blah. But if you really have that ability, then if you're not getting paid, you're not doing something right. You should be getting paid. Get the product. Get paid. Hey, every once in a while, if Rolex called you up, said, Johnny, we're big fans. We'd love it if, can we give you this steel Daytona, wear it on the show, mention it, or just wear it on the show and wear it for a year. We won't charge you for it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Guess what? I'm probably going to do that too. But otherwise, be a professionally in the industry that you're serving.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Robert Rocha, what's happening, my brother? But Greg, thank you so much. This time goes by so quick, damn it.
Don't I know it?
But, firsthand. Thank you so much for taking the time. I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for paving the way for the rest of us out here in form of barbecue talk and talk shows and everything that we do that goes along with it. I truly appreciate you, and I thank you.
I appreciate you having me on. Let me talk. Be sure to tune in 3
tonight.
hours from now for the really big barbecue show. We got Steven Reichlin. We got a guy from Oklahoma Joe's, one of their product managers, and then we got Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly. So if you want more barbecue talk tonight, join me live. If not, don't worry about it. You can get a podcast whenever you want. But I'm been a big fan of Pit Life for a long time, and it's not easy being a host, as you know. So
it's a lot of work that goes in.
I do it by myself, and I said, well, when this is the only way I know how to do it. I couldn't get a co-host at this point. I couldn't let somebody, I couldn't even let Chrissy do what she does, for you. I've only ever done it by myself, so I have a lot of trust issues that I'm working through therapy with. But it's not going to be soon enough for me to relinquish some of that. But it's a tough deal, and you do a really good job.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that coming from you. Where can everybody find you social media-wise?
At BBQ Central Show on all the social media platforms. YouTube is /RD Rempe. Facebook is also /BBQ Central Show. We also have a live video feed over Twitch, which is twitch.tv/BBQ Central Show. And then I'm also audibly available on Clubhouse, which is how you listen every Tuesday night. So if you can't watch me, that's great. Just listen if you want to live through the Clubhouse.
Awesome, brother. So I will, like I said, I appreciate you taking time, and I will catch you at 9 o'clock this evening, right on time.
All right.
So thanks. Hold on one second. Let me close this out. We'll be right back with you, Greg. Awesome, Chrissy.
Incredible.
Awesome guy.
My hat's off to
really
I know how hard this is for someone to do, and to do it that well for that long it's quite the achievement.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But like I said, Greg Rempe, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, that's it for this week, Chrissy.
It is.
It is.
It goes that quick when they're that good.
It does. Luckily, we get to spend a little bit more time together this evening because of the 4th of July coming up.
Yeah.
And all right, we'll let the cat out of the bag. We're recording the 5th of July episode because Chrissy's going on vacation, and I might not be able to make it day after the holiday with the post office. So after this, we're going to be talking with Kel Phelps of Barbecue News Magazine and the NBBQA. So that'll be great. It's been a long time since we had Kel on. But that's it for this week, folks. We'd like to thank you all for joining us. Catch the audio wherever podcasts are found. Catch the video on Facebook and YouTube. On YouTube, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. You have all our episodes right there at your fingertips. On social media, find us at all the links listed down below. Questions and comments, please send them to Pit Life BBQ Podcast at gmail.com. And like always, subscribe, like, rate, and review. Hit that share button. And until next week, keep the smoke rolling.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.